Big crowd, fireworks going off at Sports Authority Field at Mile High, home of the Broncos since 2001. Broncos won the toss. They have deferred. That's Dion Lewis, ready to run back the kick. And off we go from the Mile High City as McManus sends it through the end zone. Broncos take over the 25. Here are their starters.
Tom Brady, Michigan.
Dion Lewis, Pitt.
Brandon Cooks, Oregon State.
Danny Amendola, Texas Tech.
Rob Gronkowski, Arizona.
Dwayne Allen, Clemson.
Nate Solder, Colorado.
Joe Tooney, North Carolina State.
David Andrews, Georgia.
Shaq Mason, Georgia Tech. By Adrian Waddle, Texas Tech.
So there is your Patriot offense. #1 in the league in yards. You see Waddle, we'll talk about him in a moment, at right tackle, taking over for Cannon. And the first play of the game, they start on the ground, swinging to the outside, and picking up just a couple is Dion Lewis. Tom Brady, as you all know, 40 years old, in stellar shape. Look at those numbers. 2,500 yards halfway through the season. He's on a pace for 5,000, 16 touchdowns, only 2 interceptions, and coming into the weekend, the second best passer rating in the league, behind only Alex Smith of Kansas City. 2nd and 8. Place already shaking. Trying to jam the signals. And they keep it on the ground again, and that's about a 2-yard run through the middle by Dion Lewis. Stewart makes the tackle. 3rd down upcoming. Here's the Bronco defense.
Derek Wolf, Cincinnati.
Domata Peko, Samoana High School. Adam Geltis, Georgia Tech.
Vaughn Miller, Texas A&M.
Brandon Marshall, Nevada Wolfpack.
Todd Davis, Berkeley High School.
Shane Ray, Missouri.
Akeem Talib, Kansas.
Justin Simmons, Boston College.
Darian Stewart, South Carolina.
Chris Harris Jr., Kansas.
They bring in James White, as they always do, on 3rd down, and they split him all the way to the bottom of the screen to your left on a 3rd down and 5. Brady looking that way, goes that way, and it's incomplete. Intended for Brandon Cooks. And so Denver's defense starts just the way they had hoped, with a 3 and out.
Well, that was one impressive series right there. And you're going to get Cooks coming right out here to the outside, working against Roby, and you can't do any better than that defensively. They stuffed their run, got some pressure even with a 3-man rush.
Brian Allen sending it down to the 27, and losing the ball there is McKenzie. McKenzie muffs the punt, and the Patriots have recovered at the 23. So Denver could not have gotten off to a better start on defense, and then McKenzie coughs it up.
Well, one thing, as a former punt returner, I can tell you, left-footed punters drive you crazy. The ball, instead of moving off to your right, moves off to your left, and you'll see the way that this thing moves in midair. It is just backwards from what you're used to handling on a regular basis. And they got McKenzie there. Boy, I tell you, after you get off to that start defensively, they're celebrating leaving the field after the way they got trounced in Philadelphia. That was the worst of all things to happen.
Hollister comes up with it. Denver commits its 20th turnover of the season. Rex Burkhead is in the backfield. They flare him out, and they shoot it to him. And Burkhead is very close to a 1st down as he gets tackled by Marshall at the 14-yard line. It is a 1st down for the Patriots.
Adrian Waddle is the new right tackle in for Marcus Cannon, and he survived here. That's all you do against Von Miller. You don't beat Von Miller. Occasionally you survive against Von Miller. Pushed him just past Brady for the 1st down.
Gain of 10. Brady out of the gun. He's got Devlin in as the fullback. Brady fires over the middle, caught on a slant. Burkhead will take it into the end zone for a Patriot touchdown. 14-yard TD. McKenzie trying to walk it off along the sideline. He knows exactly what he cost his team as the Patriots take the lead.
Rex Burkhead played a lot of wide receiver in Cincinnati. He would flank out, and when you put a safety out there on him, it is a bit of a mismatch. Von Miller on the outside getting a chip help from James Devlin. But it is tough to crack into the lineup with the running backs of the New England Patriots. And more we are seeing Tom Brady looking for Rex Burkhead.
So 2:24 into the game thanks to the turnover. Gostowski kicks the extra point, and the Patriots, looking for their 5th win in a row, lead 7-0. The muff punt, the recovery, and the subsequent touchdown. So now Denver's going to have to come from behind. You've got a kick that's only going to go down to the 11-yard line. Fielded there by the fullback, Andy Janovich. And he takes it back to the 20, and we go back to the Patriot TD.
Well, Rob Gronkowski is going to get all kinds of coverage here as this play unfolds, and that's why Rex Burkhead ends up in one-on-one, because half the team from the Broncos is now chasing Rob Gronkowski. Great players draw double teams and create opportunities for others. It's exactly what happened there.
Brady with Amendola there, and now Denver runs its first offensive play. Osweiler off the play fake, has time in the pocket, throws, he's got a man wide open. That's Emmanuel Sanders out to the 49-yard line. And they needed that after the disaster on the first series. 31 yards here and a first down in Patriot territory.
Great route right here. You've got Sanders going in, out, and you see Butler turn around thinking he was going to have a pick six there. And one final move up the field by Emmanuel Sanders. And Osweiler picking up where he left off in 2015.
31-yard gain now. Over the right side goes C.J. Anderson. Gain of 1, maybe 2. Here are the Broncos starters.
Brock Osweiler, Arizona State.
C.J. Anderson, Laney College.
Andy Janovich, Nebraska.
Demarius Thomas, Georgia Tech.
Emmanuel Sanders, Southern Methodist University.
Virgil Green, Nevada.
Garrett Bowles, the University of Utah.
Max Garcia, Florida.
Matt Paradis, Boise State.
Brian Leary, University of Memphis.
Alan Barber, Missouri Southern.
Keep an eye on him tonight. That's been a revolving door at right tackle. 2nd down and 9. Inside handoff. Going through the middle for a gain of about 4 is Anderson. So what an odyssey for Brock Osweiler. Drafted by the Broncos when they brought Peyton Manning and he backed them up. Then he appeared to be the heir apparent. They offered him a contract, but Houston gave him a bigger one. He goes there. That didn't work out. They leave him. They sent him over to Cleveland after 1 year there. Then he gets cut by Cleveland and winds up coming back here and takes over for Trevor Siemian last week. So they hope that he can provide a shot of adrenaline for what's been a stagnant offense. 3rd down and 5 as Osweiler swings it to the outside, and that is caught by Sanders, and Emmanuel takes it to the 29-yard line. Going to work on Butler again. 1st down.
Yeah, it's beginning to look like we're going to see Butler on Sanders all night long, and I think in part because on the other side of the field they want to cover Stephon Gilmore on Demarius Thomas. So we're going to see some matchups tonight, and there are some injured players within that interior 7 for the Patriots, and so they're a little limited on what they can do on defense tonight.
It's Sanders setting up in the slot to the left side. Osweiler flips it out to Demarius Thomas. So he had both of his receivers lined up initially in the backfield. Let's take a look at the New England defense.
Lawrence Scott, ASU. Deaches Wise Jr., Arkansas.
Alan Branch, University of Michigan.
Trey Flowers, Arkansas.
Kyle Van Noy, Brigham.
Elandon Roberts, the University of Houston.
Malcolm Butler, West Alabama.
Patrick Chung, Oregon Ducks.
Devin McCourty, RU. Duron Harmon, Rutgers.
Stephon Gilmore, South Carolina.
Gilmore, as you know, now back after a 3-week absence. On 2nd down and 4, they hand the ball to Devontae Booker, and he will set up a 3rd and about 2. So Matt Patricia was really under the gun in New England early on. They gave up those 42 points on opening night to Kansas City, most ever that Belichick has allowed in New England. And Mike McCoy on the other side, who spent the last 4 years as the head coach of the then San Diego Chargers, was the offensive coordinator here back in 2011, and he comes back. The 2 head coaches right there. And a 3rd down and 2 for Denver at the 21-yard line.
Both inside linebackers right at the line of scrimmage.
Play fake, and then it's incomplete. Demaryius Thomas cutting over the middle. Couldn't hold on. 4th down.
Well, both linebackers were up, and then they dropped Landon Roberts right underneath this route. But this was an opportunity. Basically, by formation, Matt Patricia talked the Denver Broncos out of running the football and got the incomplete pass.
This will be a 39-yard field goal attempt for Brandon McManus. He was 3 for 3 last week in Philly, including 2 from 50-plus. And he bangs this one through. 8:39 left in the first quarter on Sunday Night Football. 7-3 New England. Matt Patricia going over things with his defense. Denver comes away with a field goal. 7-3 is the score. And McManus will send it down toward Dion Lewis. And this will be returnable from a yard in the end zone. Here comes Lewis. Lewis down the sideline. Lewis still on his feet. And he will be not tackled. And if he stays in bounds, and he does, it is a touchdown. That's 103 yards. Dion Lewis skirting the sideline right in front of the Denver bench.
Watch the little wiggles from Lewis as he comes up the field, setting up his blocks, just a little in, a little out, and there he goes. And then once McManus missed, it was just a foot race, a little hesitation and go. Oh my goodness, for all the issues, it's like he stayed in all the way. For all the issues that the Broncos had a week ago, now it's their special teams haunting them.
Stays in bounds. That was the last guy with an opportunity to knock him down, Devontae Booker. All scoring plays reviewed. They're just taking a look at it. Clearly it's going to get confirmed as Gostkowski waits to attempt the extra point. You know what I was wondering though? It's so easy to kick a touchback here at mile high altitude. It looked like he was trying to kick it a little shorter.
Well, we saw Belichick do it the other way, so maybe they were.
That's right. Belichick had the kick go down to the 20-yard line. The extra point is good, so it was almost as if they were inviting a run back. And how'd that work out?
Not so well. Dion Lewis, one of the most elusive backs in the entire National Football League, and he made him pay.
He also ran a kickback last year in the playoffs against Houston. Well, Vance Joseph, he was talking to us the other day about, he said the great thing about Belichick, great for New England, not for him, is he always finds your weakness, and he certainly did on that first touchdown.
Yeah, he does. He goes out and basically Joseph was saying that you have to self-scout when you end up playing the Patriots, because until you figure out where you're weak, you're not going to know where he's going to attack. So they spent a lot of time this week figuring out exactly where their weaknesses were, and so far it's been special teams.
Now, Bill's done that his whole career. He finds the open wound. The Broncos outscored 55-6 in the first quarter in their last 5 games. They have held the lead for 4 minutes in the last 4 games, and those were the first 4 minutes of the game last week in Philadelphia when they led 3-0. That's 240 minutes, and they led for 4. So now you've got another kick that is purposely short to the 2-yard line, and this is Booker, who cannot return the favor as he gets taken down at the 22-yard line.
Well, look what this does as far as the kickoff cover team is concerned. You kick it down in this corner, and then all your guys can go into a much smaller area. You condense the field so you have more defenders in that part of the field and nowhere to run. So same strategy, just didn't work for the Broncos in either direction.
So Osweiler now down by 11 early. C.J. Anderson in the backfield. Put the fullback Janovich in there as well. Rolling out. Looking downfield, and the pass is not caught in bounds. Incomplete. Sanders, the intended receiver. It'll be 2nd down and 10.
Well, they're trying to get this football to Demarius Thomas, but Stephon Gilmore back from concussion and ankle injuries, and step for step right across the field with the best receiver of the Broncos. This was their strategy. Gilmore a little bigger, a little stronger, and so far doing the job in his return to the lineup.
Empty the backfield on a 2nd down and 10. Osweiler, and that's caught. About a 5-yard gain. Thomas making the catch. Devin McCourty makes the tackle. 3rd down and 5 for Denver.
Well, it's almost amazing to me to see these Broncos receivers being covered man-to-man as much as they are. At the beginning of the season, teams were afraid to cover these guys man-to-man on the outside, so their running game was able to really get going. But now we saw the Eagles use this strategy, and so are the Patriots thus far.
3rd and 5, halfway mark approaching of the first quarter. Osweiler throws, and that is caught. That's Sanders off to the races into New England territory, all the way to the 35-yard line. Hot start for number 10, tackled there by Duron Harmon. So a 3rd and 5 becomes a 1st down after a gain of 38.
Well, maybe we found a little weakness here as well. There is the 3rd corner coming in this game for the Patriots, and again, Sanders just not going to be able to match up. Jonathan Jones is one of the fastest guys in football, ran a 4.33, but the quickness that time of Sanders, the difference, and Sanders' ankle looks healed. He was not quite himself a week ago.
Very much so. C.J. Anderson exploits a hole, stays on his feet, breaks tackles, takes it down to the 15-yard line. That's a gain of 21 for C.J. Anderson.
We're going to get pulling by the guard, pulling by the center, and then a broken tackle right there. Alan Branch unable to bring down C.J. Anderson. Had a chance, had his arms around him, but C.J. Anderson, a year ago, maybe doesn't make that kind of play. This year, he has been one of the toughest guys in football to tackle.
Pat's missing a key guy up front, Malcolm Brown. Inactive tonight, injured. Now you've got Booker going next to nowhere. So the Broncos working against a defense that's still last in the league in yardage allowed, but they've gotten clearly a lot better as Matt Patricia's group gave up 32 points per game in September, but only 17 per in October.
Yeah, and they're having to play David Harris a lot. This is a guy that played 7 plays in the first 6 games, had 40 snaps in the last 2 weeks. So now they are beginning to have to go down the list of how they'd like to prioritize things. Malcolm Brown out, Cassius Marsh out tonight for the Patriots.
2nd and 10. Osweiler flushed out and just throws it away. And that was Dietrich Wise. And the crowd now thinking that should have been a personal foul. You got Wise saying, hey, it's me, but there was no flag thrown here. Take a look.
All he got was a head shake from the official.
Kind of pushed him out of bounds.
Well, nothing would surprise me anymore, so you know, sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't.
Now Jamal Charles, the longtime Chief, is in the backfield on 3rd down and 10. Osweiler going to the outside, trying to hit Charles, and that is incomplete. So a couple of good starts to the 2 Denver drives, but they both bogged down, and they'll have to settle for a McManus field goal attempt again.
Yeah, I promise you that Matt Patricia will settle for field goals all night long as he's been trying to mix and match on this defense. That time Marquise Flowers in coverage.
McManus 75% at home. It's really weird. He's much better on the road, and you would think in Denver of all places he'd be far better at home. That kick from 33 is good. 5:18 remaining in the opening quarter. New England up by 8 in Denver. So Dion Lewis hopeful of another kickoff return. The last one was 103 yards, and McManus this time will send this one through the end zone.
Well, we have seen the orange crushing Tom Brady since 2015 in 3 games played right here. Here's his numbers as a passer rating under all those categories, and here's what they are with the rest of the National Football League. So you can see this Denver defense knows how to play against Tom Brady, but so far they haven't gotten much help from their special teams and gave up 1 short field touchdown. But Aqib Talib, a former teammate of Tom Brady, says the only way to beat this guy is to attack him and hit him.
Talib getting a Super Bowl ring when he went to New England. Brady now is pressured, but he was able to get it off to Martellus Bennett, and Bennett back with New England. And a lot of you have been reading about that story this week about released by Green Bay. We'll get into it a little further, but they put him in the game, and it's a 27-yard gain.
He probably wasn't on the scouting report. Here comes Miller around the edge. He almost gets there with Waddle, and Brady a little jump pass to his old pal. And they are good friends. They have really enjoyed each other's company, and Brady loves having him back.
Tom goes the other way now, and Burkhead cannot get out of the grasp of Justin Simmons, who takes him down shortly after he gathers it in, gain of 3.
You know, it's interesting. We've seen these safeties out in coverage on the outside, and Justin Simmons is a taller guy. I almost thought that he might be the matchup tonight against Rob Gronkowski, but it just doesn't matter. Tom Brady has such a knack for understanding where the single coverage is. He is not going to play to your strength. He is going to play to your weakness.
He has seen it all. It's Devlin in at fullback. Burkhead is the running back, and they give it to him, and Burkhead will set up a 3rd down and call it 3 behind a Devlin block. A lot of interchange going on amongst those running backs. The year started with Mike Gillislee, who came over from Buffalo as the primary back. Now Lewis has really taken over as the primary back, with White coming in on 3rd down. We're seeing more and more of Burkhead.
Yeah, we really are, and seeing more and more of Josh McDaniels as people start to talk about who will be the next head coach where. That name will be very close to the top of the list.
Gillislee inactive tonight, so they go with the 3 running backs. You've got White split wide to the left, and Brady will throw, and he'll hit White to the 31-yard line. Only Le'Veon Bell among running backs has caught more passes this season. Of course, he's a running back, but a lot of times they will split him out as they did right there.
And this is what they're doing. They're just splitting their running backs out wide and going against the safeties. A little simple slant route. But we have seen this so many times, and it really doesn't matter who it is. James White, of course, the Super Bowl hero, had such a remarkable game there. But he has really been the pass-specific back. More of the balance guy now is Rex Burkhead. More of the pure run guy, Dion Lewis.
Fake to Burkhead. Brady under pressure, but he gets it away, and that is caught by Bennett, who takes the ball to the 26. Let's go to Michelle.
Well, Al Bennett had been playing for the Packers this season with a shoulder injury, and after seeking multiple opinions from outside doctors, Bennett decided to have surgery and end his season. So the Packers released him with a failure to disclose medical condition designation, and it was claimed on waivers by the Patriots, where he passed a physical and obviously is not having surgery. We asked to speak to Bennett, but the Patriots declined our request, Al.
Well, not only not having surgery, but in the lineup after being in the camp for just a few days. Of course, he knows the system. He was there last year as Burkhead takes the ball for a gain of a couple to make it 3rd down and 1.
Well, I don't know if he's any healthier, but I know his quarterback's healthier in New England than he was in Green Bay. And, you know, it was pretty hot and heavy, still is, between Bennett, the Green Bay Packers, and the doctors. And I don't think we've heard the end of this saga.
No, that was an ugly ending in Green Bay. Now you've got Brady on a sneak, but he begins to stumble. Tom's so proficient through the years on 3rd and 1 and 4th and 1 and sneaking it in, but this time it looks like he came up a couple of inches short. Probably close enough for measurement as they mill around.
Watch the fullback James Devlin come up behind and push his quarterback, but that knee looked like it came down before that final lunge from Tom Brady. Take a look. Did that knee actually hit the ground? Because if it did, I think he may be short.
Looks like the right knee came down. And that would be the end of the play right there. Yeah.
Wherever the ball is, which
right.
Can't really see.
Well, they gave him a fairly decent spot here, but still they're going to be a couple of links short. Now, if you're New England and Belichick's done this time and time again, you go for it. Josh McDaniels, the offensive coordinator, was here for a year and 3/4 as the head coach at Denver when he took over for Mike Shanahan in 2009.
Big Domata Pecco sitting right in the middle of that defensive line. He is the one they will have to move to pick up this first down.
So 4th and inches. Does Brady try to sneak it again? He's got Devlin in the backfield. He's got Burkhead behind Devlin. And on 4th and inches, they'll let Burkhead do it, and he does it as he takes it over the left side to the 21-yard line. So they weren't going to probe the middle, slanted off to the left, first down.
One guy who hasn't gotten a lot of love out here is Dwayne Allen, the other tight end at this moment, but he gets a nice block here on the outside and just enough movement to pick up that first down.
He's the other tight end now.
Yeah.
You got Gronkowski and you got Bennett back, so he'd be number 3.
Yeah, pretty amazing. Just has not had any success, no catches since he's gotten here.
Final minute of the quarter. Brady surveys and winds up. Sooner or later, you knew that Gronkowski was going to make a catch, and there he is nodding, and he picks up the first down. So Gronkowski, the thing about him, you can keep him quiet just so long. Sooner or later, number 87 is going to catch one.
Well, and if you want to try and keep 2 safeties deep, that means Gronkowski is going to get one-on-one. And I have yet to see the NFL player that can cover him one-on-one. Safeties are too small. Linebackers are too slow. It is just the ultimate mismatch, almost no matter who tries to guard him one-on-one.
Dion Lewis is the back. He swings to the outside and gets ripped at the 6-yard line. Popped by Justin Simmons coming up from the safety spot.
Yeah, nice job by Derek Wolfe, I think it was, dragging him down, and then Simmons polished him off.
End of the quarter, 14-6 New England. Sunday Night Football resumes after these messages. Sunday Night Football, it's Dion Lewis who goes into the medical tent. He took that hard hit after that 2-yard gain. Simmons coming up to pop him right there, and so they check him out in the tent.
Yeah, and it's working when they do it right, and they end up coming over. They can watch the hit. They can see exactly what you saw. There was helmet-to-helmet contact there. So it gives them some idea as they go in to chat with Dion as to what it might be.
Second quarter commences with a 2nd and goal. This is the 11th play of the drive. And Brady moving around in that pocket, and the pass is incomplete, but a flag is thrown as Burkhead, covered by Todd Davis, the linebacker. Was a 2nd and goal.
Yeah, this is what you get. You try and cover one of these backs with a linebacker, makes for a
Pass
long night.
interference, number 51, defense. Ball we placed at the spot of the foul. First down.
Walt Coleman, 25th year as an NFL official. Todd Davis had missed a couple of games. They were happy to have him back, but he gets flagged right here.
And Todd Davis really much more of a run player. They greatly missed him. They looked terrible against the run against the Philadelphia Eagles, so happy to have him back. But man coverage really not what he's all about, and Burkhead's just a little too quick, so he grabbed and tried to stay in, and now they're down on the 2.
Bring the fullback Devlin in again. Burkhead is the running back, and Burkhead can only get it to the 1-yard line. It'll be 2nd down and goal. So this is a drive that began back at their own 25-yard line, and they have run 11 plays, 6 on the ground and 5 through the air.
You know, and Brock Osweiler has to be sitting over there thinking, I'm playing pretty well tonight, and there's a chance when I get the ball back it'd be 21-6.
Yeah, he's been fine, going for 93 yards in the first quarter. 2nd down and goal here. Off the play fake, then into the end zone, and that's broken up. Tried to hit Allen, covered there by the linebacker, and Parks is there as well, covering on the play. 3rd and goal.
Well, they tried to set him up for his first play coming across, but I'm telling you, that young man right there is a very versatile safety. They got him in the draft. He plays a lot of inside linebacker in their dime coverages. He is a tough young man. 2 good young players on the back end they picked up.
And they get 5 receivers in this set on a 3rd down and goal, but he's going to move White into the backfield with him. Brady under pressure, and they're going to get him at the 8-yard line. Justin Simmons, great series for him, and that was very big.
That's the other safety I was talking about. Just goes right around James White. What a move this was, coming right off the edge. Watch this little wiggle here on James White. Right around him, right to Tom Brady. Great play.
And that's very big because 17-6 sounds a whole lot better if you're trailing than 21-6.
Well, and to finally get some contact with Tom Brady. You can't beat Brady if you're not hitting him.
Gostowski for a 25-yard attempt. Splits the uprights in a minute and a half into the second quarter. 17-6 in favor of the champs. 17-6 with 13:38 to go to the half. Sports Authority Field at Mile High in Denver. Very nice night right now. The temperature is 50 degrees and it is windless. Typical capacity crowd. Short kick again. 4-yard line. This is Devontae Booker, and he brings the ball out to the 32-yard line. That Patriot defense. Well, there's Bill Belichick in class in September. They were terrible. So please see me. We've all seen that going back to school days. But then they learn their lessons pretty well. Great improvement. Only 16.8 points allowed per game in October. I love it.
Arms crossed. He really doesn't change a whole lot. If you watch his demeanor on the sideline, there's not a lot of emotion.
From the 31, Osweiler swings it to the outside, and that's C.J. Anderson. You know, Osweiler, when he came into the league as a rookie, he was listed at 6'8", but now he's 6'7". So what happened? We were talking to him about it. What happened was he was playing basketball. He committed to Gonzaga to be a basketball player, and he said, you know, in basketball they always want you to be taller, so they put me at 6'8". He said, but I'm only 6'7". So when I got back here, I said, hey guys, get it right.
So it had nothing to do with going to Cleveland.
Nothing.
Okay.
No. He was. What did you say? He wasn't going to turn into Muggsy Bogues. C.J. Anderson for a short gain here. 3rd down. Well, Vance Joseph the other day, Chris, was talking to us about how important the first 15 plays are. So far, pretty good, but they can't finish it off.
Yeah, it's the scripted plays. It's the ones that you spend all week practicing, and these are the best of the best that you have against their defense. And really, they've looked pretty good. They've come out and hit some big plays, and unfortunately, special teams have let them down, but so far it's been an entertaining game nonetheless.
3rd down and 6 from the 35. Osweiler moving away, keeping his eyes downfield, and then has to sling it out of bounds. But a flag is thrown, and it's going to be against New England for a hold. So far, so good tonight. We haven't heard the referee tonight very often, Mr. Walt Coleman. But here
Prior
it
to the
is.
pass, holding number 44, defense, 5-yard penalty, automatic first down.
I think he meant 24. There's no 44. Stephon Gilmore guilty. First down.
That's one of those penalties, steam comes out of your ears, right? If you're the defensive coordinator, you get them to a 3rd and 6, you get good pressure, and you get a grab. So many times when a quarterback moves around like that, you get the receivers turning up the field, and the tendency is to grab.
And totally away from the play. Now you got C.J. Anderson. He takes it up to the 43. We were here a couple of years ago on a Sunday night. A little snow coming down. Field was glossy. or glazed, I guess is the best way to put it. And Anderson took off in overtime, then ran for a touchdown with Osweiler at quarterback.
Yeah, if you're playing Tom Brady, you're hoping to see some weather condition take over, right? You want a little rain, a little wind, a little snow. You need a little something, because under perfect conditions, it's almost unfair.
2nd down and 8 from the 42-yard line. Toss here to Jamal Charles, and the longtime Chief can't get around the corner. Kyle Van Noy makes the tackle, setting up 3rd and long.
Kyle Van Noy's been one of those guys that I don't know what the Patriots would have done this season without him. Of course, they lost Dante Hightower, their great linebacker, a guy they paid all the money to. And Van Noy, I think, plays every position on the field except in the secondary. I've seen him line up at off linebacker. He's an outside linebacker. He's a defensive end. He's leading them in sacks. He's had a nice year for the New England Patriots, having to do a lot of jobs.
3rd and 9. Dime defense in for the Patriots, and Osweiler's going to go deep downfield and 2 deep. Demarius Thomas was well covered on the play. 4th down.
Stephon Gilmore looks really sharp. You'll remember in the early part of the season, he really struggled, blew a lot of coverages. The defense just looked terrible, and it wasn't Gilmore getting beat physically. It was like they just couldn't figure out what they were doing on the back end. People running wide open all over the field. It's like he settled in.
And Riley Dixon has it blocked. And the play is over. It's Burkhead who was in there. The play is over, but New England with the block and great field position coming off of it. And another special teams disaster for Denver.
Rex Burkhead is the inside guy, and he just comes right through. How about this? They sign him as a free agent. They think maybe he's going to be able to help him as a back. He's making plays on special teams. He's that one combination running back now that is an excellent receiver, can play outside, and getting a lot of love from some of his teammates over there on the bench. Some games so far for Rex Burkhead.
Dixon calling it. Play was over though when they contacted him. Lewis, play fake to him, and the pass is a little low, but it is pulled in by Dorsett, who was traded from Indianapolis to New England at the outset of the season. Brock Olivo is the Denver special teams coach, who's probably the unhappiest guy in the joint right now.
Yeah, and I tell you, this has been a different sort of Patriots offense this year, because they have speed on the outside, and even though the Broncos have great corners, I fully anticipate some deep balls being thrown to these speed wideouts.
And the pass is hauled in at the goal line by Gronkowski, but they're going to say no. They're going to say no. Incomplete. So Gronk trying to come up with it as if he had the touchdown. Still pleading his case right now. We look again. Ooh, closer than I thought.
You know, it's sort of bouncing around down there. Does the ground
help him control it?
You know, the problem he's going to have is they call it incomplete on the field.
Right.
And so now you've got to prove that it wasn't that, so they're not even going to challenge that one.
No, they thought about it. Meanwhile, the play clock runs all the way down, and they take a timeout.
First team timeout.
So timeout, back in 30 seconds. That was a really interesting play. Belichick has chosen not to challenge. I think one of the reasons is on a play like that, it's very rarely overturned. And I guess he's going to challenge it now, because what happens oftentimes, if there's not totally conclusive evidence, they will let the play call stand. So if it was called a touchdown, that probably would have stood.
New England is challenging the ruling on the field of an incomplete pass.
You know, I can fully understand what the official saw, that ball bobble between his two hands, but did he squeeze it before it hit the ground? That's the hardest thing to tell here. Does it hit the ground? Man, can you tell?
Well, what was very interesting, among other things, in that sequence was that Brady brought him up to the line. They were going to run a play, but when the play clock was down to 1, he called the timeout. And that enabled Belichick to get further information, I suppose, or think about it a little bit longer, and then he decides to throw the challenge flag.
Am I entirely biased in favor of receivers' position here? If you had to ask me flat out, did he catch it, I would say he caught it. But I'm not sure you could go into the replay booth and overturn the call on the field.
Yeah. Don't be. You were an old receiver, right?
Very old.
The guys who talk these days about, hey, as a receiver, no. Gronkowski's looking at the replay. I don't think there's enough evidence here to overturn it, is what it amounts to.
Can you tell? Does his chest press it to the ground right there on the far side of the forearm? You know, I don't think they can overturn that.
I agree with you. Here's Coleman.
After reviewing the play, the ruling on the field stands. Incomplete pass.
It was worth it.
Charged with their second team timeout.
So now they're down to 1 challenge. That's what it costs you. And a timeout. And it's going to be 2nd down and 10 from the 19-yard line.
One of the problems that the Broncos have with this defense is they're not getting a lot of pressure from their interior defensive linemen. So the pressure is really on Shane Ray, Shaq Barrett, and Von Miller to create issues on the outside. When they get to 3rd down, they put all 3 of those guys in and bring Von Miller inside, but they need to get to 3rd down.
And they go 4 by 1, 4 receivers to the right side. They break that with Amendola going over to the slot on the left side. And on 2nd and 10, Brady hangs in there, throws a little behind, but caught by Danny Amendola at the 14-yard line. And for New England now, it'll be 3rd down and 4 after a gain of 6.
But nobody uses motion like Tom Brady. At that time, bring Amendola in motion. He knew right away because nobody moved with him. They just shifted the linebackers over. He had Amendola one-on-one with the linebacker. Easy money.
Your picture is shaking because the stands shake here, just like the old Mile High. Stamp their feet. Registers about 3.2 on the Richter scale. 3rd and 4, big hole on the inside, and that's White. Did he get the 1st down? It's to be maybe a few inches short. Well, maybe not. Let's wait.
Here's what happens. You flank Gronkowski out here, so you have to bring a safety over. You see the 2 deep safeties? That automatically means they're 1 short in here to play the run. So Tom Brady just does the math. You're going to play 2 deep safeties back there. You're going to help on Gronkowski. We're running the football.
So it's 4th down. Gostkowski comes out for the moment. They went for it in the 1st quarter on 4th and inches, made it, paid that one off. And right now, radio on the sideline. What they're waiting for now is the measurement. Belichick wants to see exactly how far they have to go. It's to be about a half a yard or so. And we'll stick with that.
Also gave him a little more think about it time.
So field goal gives you a 14-point lead. You got a 4th down here at the 9-yard line. Gostkowski a 25-yarder earlier. Steven in his 12th year. They drafted him in the 4th round back in 06. Worked out beautifully. 28-yard attempt. Allen to put it down. And he's 2 for 2. 8:47 left in the half, and that makes it 20-6 Patriots.
My name is Garrett Bowles, and this is my NFL dream.
I've been dreaming about playing in the NFL as long as I can remember. You know, being drafted was awesome. You know, I always wanted to walk across the stage if I got the opportunity. So when I walked across the stage and I got to hold my son, you know, it means the world to me. I get to play not only for my family, but I get to play for an organization that wins Super Bowls, you know, always strives to do better, not just on the field, but off the field too.
If you were watching the draft, how great was that sight? There he is, their #1 draft pick. Played at Utah, holding his infant in his arms, put the uniform on him. And there is Kingston with wife Natalie on the right, and Emily Freeman, part of the family that took Bulls in after a very troubled childhood. Looking on tonight in Denver. This is Booker taking it from the 2-yard line, and nothing happening as he gets forced out of bounds up at about the 18. But Bowles is a guy, as you know, Chris, that he watched The Blind Side, that story about Michael Orr, left tackle, grew up in a troubled household, was taken in and became, you know, a star at Baltimore. He said he used to watch The Blind Side every week.
Said he cried the first time he saw it because basically the kindness of somebody outside his family and his involvement with the church. He had to go on a mission trip for a year and knock on doors, house to house. I said, did you scare anybody? He said, oh yeah. What a great guy.
They start this drive with Booker taking it up to the 21-yard line. So here he was before the game. How great is that sight?
It's so great when you can take the helmet off these guys occasionally. You know, it's easy to look at them like they're robots or something, and it's quite a story. He said kids used to make fun of him in school, so he was in fights all the time and getting in trouble, and then up comes Emily, and pretty amazing story.
2nd and 8 from the 21-yard line. Keep it on the ground, and Booker, nice game. One thing about Denver, as you mentioned, we take a look at Bowles and how important that run game is, Chris.
Yeah, it really is, and Garrett Bowles has played a nice game on the outside. You know, he is an unpolished gem. Can we say that? He's a guy that you know is just going to keep getting better and better. Hasn't played a lot of tackle, and yet just athletically in his heart and his guts, he just slugs it out on the outside out there, and he's going to end up being a really good one.
Halfway through the 2nd quarter, 7:25 to play. 3rd and 1. Did he keep it on the ground here? Nope, going to the air. And Osweiler under pressure, throws, and adjusting and making the catch is Emmanuel Sanders for a big first down. And Emmanuel Sanders having some half as he catches his 4th ball of the night and 104 receiving yards for him.
That was amazing. At no point was Emmanuel Sanders open on this route. At no point. And he just somehow made a play jumping back in front of Malcolm Butler, and Butler has to be thinking, what do I have to do to get this guy covered? But if Sanders can start playing on the one-on-one routes that way, they can force the Patriots out of this defense.
Back to the ground they go here. C.J. Anderson. So Butler against Sanders, it's a marquee matchup. 9 times head-to-head, 4 targets, 3 completions, and 66 of his now 105 receiving yards against Butler.
You know, Demaryius Thomas, the team that he's played the best against, averaged 92 yards a game in 9 games, including the playoffs, the New England Patriots. And yet he has been unable to get started tonight because Stephon Gilmore has been so good.
Borrows the Omaha from Peyton Manning. Now you've got C.J. Anderson, and with that second effort, able to take the ball across the 40 for what appears to be a first down.
Nicely done that time by Max Garcia. He takes a little heat sometimes for his pass blocking, but a very good run blocker. Here he comes right up here to make this block on the outside. Paved the way for C.J. Anderson. Some of those throws, sometimes you have to run it to set up the passing game. In this case with the Broncos right now, they have to throw it to set up the run game.
And the run game here again. To the 33 goes Anderson. You know, it's an interesting thing, Chris, because you mentioned that the running game is important for these guys. And yet, you know, here they are behind. They're not built to come from behind. But, you know, what do? You can't give up on the run game this early.
Yeah, and you can't. You just have to let these big guys like Garrett Bowles come off and just try and attack on the outside. Remember, this is a bit of a makeshift defense right now for the New England Patriots. They have people shuffled all around in different new jobs. See if they're sound on the run game.
And again, they probe the middle, and this time taken down immediately. Adam Butler is there, rookie out of Vanderbilt. And that'll set up a 3rd down and 3.
Yeah, I think that might have been a case of Alan Barber, who is playing that right tackle position really for just the 2nd time this year. Coming off his guy just a little bit early, but Barber is a guy that they're really going to have to rely on. Had a pretty tough outing in his first opportunity against the Chargers earlier this year, but he had a whole week of practice and they feel good about him now.
5 receivers. Now they bring Booker into the backfield on a 3rd down and 3. Osweiler on a roll, throws to the sideline, and that is taken in by Sanders against Butler again.
That's amazing. Malcolm Butler has been right on Sanders pretty much all night, and he just misses the swat at the ball here. And he just missed it. And Sanders is just on a hot streak. He's on a heater right now.
Osweiler's thrown for 126 yards, 114 of them to that guy.
But more and more now on those 3rd and shorts, they are throwing the ball, so maybe it's setting up some runs in the future.
On the ground again and avoiding a loss and turning it into a nice little gain is Devontae Booker. 2nd and 7.
Boy, sometimes it's good to be the Ron Leary's pulling guards, and sometimes it's a headache. Leary's going to pull around right here. Oh, that way. And you're going to see Roberts come shooting in and just about take his head off.
2nd and 7. Clock down to 3 minutes to go in the half. And Osweiler going to the end zone and incomplete, intended that time for Sanders. Butler with the coverage on the play, 3rd and 7.
What the Denver Broncos really need is another receiver that can make plays on the inside. You always wondered if a guy like Isaiah McKenzie, who unfortunately for him dropped the punt earlier, is a guy who at 5'7" could do some of those Danny Amendola, Julian Edelman routes inside and just create some easy opportunities against this man coverage and not make all these throws quite so hard.
3rd and 7. What they really need is a touchdown and not a field goal again. Osweiler throws, and that's going to be caught. A flag is thrown. That's A.J. Derby, who came over from the Patriots. So a former New Englander, you got a flag on the play. We'll get the call in a second. It was a 3rd down and 7.
Yeah. Guys aren't very good at this big play. I'm just going to tell you honestly.
Number 16, offense. That penalty's declined. 4th down.
So you've got Fowler coming right here, and you're just going to call that every time. Chung was at least 8 yards behind, and you just have to be more subtle than that. And at times you have to just pass on it. You know, if your guy is winning, don't take a chance on getting the penalty or stop and redirect. Just get in his way. Guys want to smack him. There's no need.
36-yard attempt for McManus. And he has his 3rd field goal of the night. 2.5 to the half, 20-9, New England. And a touchback here with 2.5. From the 25-yard line, here's Dion Lewis taking it up to the 34-yard line.
It's not Mr. Ed. He didn't actually buy it, you know.
You should rent your horse out as the next Thunder. Or Central Park, whatever, one of the two.
Oh, boy.
Vance Joseph's team down by 11. Bill Belichick's team looking for the 5th win in a row. They're going to remain in the Rockies before they head to Mexico City to face the Raiders next week. They'll train at the Air Force Academy. 2nd and 1 on the final play before the 2-minute warning, and that's a first down. Dion Lewis taking it up to the 38. 2-minute warning. An 11-point lead for the Patriots. First down from the 38-yard line. Give it to Lewis. Nice little run here out to the 44-yard line. He goes. Gain of 6.
Davis really making a difference with this run defense. Just big collisions with James Devlin inside.
It's Brandon Marshall with the injury timeout here. John Elway, first ballot Hall of Famer, of course, as a player, ended his career with back-to-back Super Bowl victories, and been a pretty darn good executive as well. Most Super Bowl appearances by a quarterback. Brady with those 7, Elway with 5.
It's amazing. Only 2 losing seasons as either a player or an executive. They are not used to losing around here, and they are uncomfortable now.
Marshall walked off under his own power. Zaire Anderson comes in to replace him on a 2nd down and 3. Brady swings it to the outside, and that moves the chains. First down, Brandon Cooks, the receiver.
Yeah, interesting. Without Brandon Marshall in the game, they go immediately to a zone defense. Marshall much more of the coverage linebacker, and so this is the move I thought they might make here. Get Will Parks in the game, number 34. He has been playing that dime linebacker inside. He's plenty tough against the run, but he gives him a little more speed and versatility in coverage now.
Minute 40 to the half. Burkhead bounces his way to the 40. The Patriots are so good at the end of a half. They have scored at the end of the half 6 times in the 8 games.
And they're in trouble here.
2nd and 2. They give it to Burkhead again, and he should have enough for a first down as he go down out of bounds with 1:16 to the half. And that's Todd Davis. So they just lost Marshall, at least for the moment, and now Davis, who's been out for a couple of games with an ankle injury, he is down. Injury timeout back in 30 seconds. Not a good sight for Denver because Davis had been out with an ankle injury, and the way he's walking off right here, he comes out of the game. Got hit in the ankle again. At least Marshall gets back into the game. Here's the play.
Well, and you could see as they brought smaller guys in, it was Josh McDaniels countering with fullbacks and tight ends. And now they're using that personnel group and splitting it out.
First down to the 38-yard line. New England has 1 timeout as we go down the stretch. And Brady throws into a lot of traffic, and a flag is thrown. It's going to go against Denver.
Yeah, Brandon Marshall grabbed Amendola.
Prior to the pass, holding number 54, defense. 5-yard penalty, automatic first down.
Yeah. You're going to see it right here. Of course, coming off of just being injured, but you know, it's almost unfair. They can do whatever they want. So you've got these great cornerbacks on the outside, and I don't think we've mentioned one of their names all night long, because the entirety of the game has been to the running backs and the tight end position, and it's just Belichick and McDaniels taking advantage of where your weaknesses are.
You're right. Haven't heard Harris's name or Talib's name. As Brady throws over the middle, and that's Gronk making the catch. Takes it to the 11-yard line. Simmons makes the tackle. First down as we tick down under a minute.
Yeah, what do you do? I mean, they are legitimately taking a shot at trying to take away those guys. The outside cornerbacks are doing great, and they're not getting any action whatsoever. Brandon Cooks, Philip Dorsett. Why? You don't have to until you stop that.
Brady. And throws that one out of the back of the end zone as the pocket began to crumble a bit. 31 seconds to the half.
They're just not going to let Von Miller beat him. They're going to get some help from Devlin. You've got Nate Solder, who has been playing so much better of late than he was early in the year, who's really sort of become the anchor in there. That Marcus Cannon got hurt with the ankle, and of course Gronkowski with a double team. So Brady said, we only need 2 downs anyway.
Brady still can't get to him. And juggled, caught, flag though. As Allen makes the catch, will it stand is the question. It's his first catch of the year if it stands in their 9th game.
Prior to the pass, holding, number 58, defense. Penalties decline. Touchdown.
Foul on Miller. Allen becomes the 68th different player to catch a touchdown pass from number 12.
This was just a fist fight all the way down the field. And Von Miller, you know it's become a frustrating night when the best option is to take the best pass rusher in football and drop him out in coverage.
So Allen, who had 6 touchdown catches for Indy last year, his first catch as a Patriot gets him into the end zone. Gostkowski kicks the extra point, and with 25 seconds remaining in the half, it is 27-9.
Well, it really has been pretty easy to follow, hasn't it? It has been tight ends and running backs and one-on-one matchups against linebackers and safeties. That's the entirety of the game. And until you figure out a way to stop that, that is all you're going to get, because the Patriots have all kinds of weapons and all kinds of route runners from the running back position and the tight end position, and they are just exploiting their advantage.
So Ponder will be in Minneapolis for the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
These guys are on their way to winning 5 in a row right now. It's funny how it's interesting how when they have problems, the problems don't last very long. They last about 20 minutes in New England. They figure out what they need to do.
You know, the solutions seem to come so fast, and they know in advance where your weaknesses are. And that's all they do. They don't try to do anything else. They put their best guys doing that out on the field against your worst positions or your weakest link.
Well, that's some hesitation. Oh. Look out.
And they also play special teams pretty well.
It's ripped at the 15. This poor guy, he's fumbled 5 punts this year, including 1 tonight. Took it a couple of yards in the end zone. Wasn't even thinking about coming out initially. That's Trevor Riley who smacks him.
And as good as the offense and defense has been, the story of this first half has been the Patriots special teams. They are winning the game. Whew, what a shot by Trevor Riley.
And a kneel down will end it. And the Broncos get booed off the field. You don't hear that often in Denver, but right now they're in jeopardy of their 5th consecutive loss. They will get the ball as we start the second half. But there is your halftime score. New England 27, Denver 9. Denver will get the kickoff to start the second half. Yard into the end zone, and boy, I tell you what, they're gun shy. That's Booker that time taking the kneel down. We go to Michelle.
Yeah, well, wouldn't you be if you were Vance Joseph? He said to me, special teams. That's it. That's been the problem. We give up 17 points on special teams. We have that back. This is a football game. My offense and defense are playing pretty solid. We could be right there. He's looking for a score on this first drive. Linebacker Todd Davis, questionable with a right high ankle sprain. Bill Belichick, meanwhile, happy to see his defense play well in the red zone, holding Denver to 2 field goals in those situations, but said they have to do a better job on Emmanuel Sanders, Al.
Thank you, Michelle. Well, of course, with Bill, it's always half full. And Vance Joseph summed it up perfectly. Playing pretty good on both sides of the ball. It's all been about special teams. Osweiler throws, and you've got contact and incomplete. Malcolm Butler and Sanders have been matched up all game long.
Where they are firing their inside linebackers and making these a little bit tougher now to try and get those throws off. Malcolm Butler, who was really in pretty good shape all season, and you saw the big hit there by Landon Roberts. If you're a fan of the Patriots, you know that has been Dante Hightower in the past, coming flying through and making those kinds of hits. Roberts been doing it lately.
Second-year guy out of the University of Houston. And this time it's McCourty coming up to stop Anderson at the line of scrimmage. Third down.
Well, here's the special teams mistakes that Vance Joseph was talking about. McKenzie dropped the punt. Kickoff return for a touchdown. And the block punt by the man of the half right there, Rex Burkhead. Pretty spectacular stuff. They have a tendency to know exactly who to play in each game and who's going to sit.
3rd and 10, low snap. Osweiler comes away with it, steps up in the pocket, gets hit as he throws, and it's going to be caught at the 40-yard line. Of all things, and taking it to the 42 on a 3rd down and 10 for a first down is Thomas, but he is shaken up.
Trey Flowers is going to come around here and get the arm. The ball flutters straight up in the air, and that was Demaryius Thomas. Never broke stride. If you're going to get something going in the second half, maybe that's your start. Here comes Flowers off the edge. Watch this ball. It just flutters straight up in the air, and you can see Thomas coming across your screen. Maybe that's the drive starter. Maybe that's the momentum starter that it needed.
They come from behind. It will be first down from the 42-yard line. Trying to get upfield now is C.J. Anderson, taking it to the 48-yard line. Be second down and 4 for the Denver Broncos.
Yeah, we haven't seen a lot of Jamal Charles in this game, and Matt Patricia, he said, I don't really know who it is that we're going to see in the backfield. But there comes Charles in the game on cue. He has probably run more between the tackles in this offense than any offense he's ever been a part of.
Lines up deep, as he usually does. Second down and 4. Give it to him to the outside. Charles trying to take it to New England territory, which he does, but he's a yard shy of the first down. It'll be 3rd down and 1.
We talked about some of the versatility. Well, Trey Flowers right out here is sort of taking over the Ninkovich role on the outside. He really has never played the outside linebacker position, and we asked him about it. So what is it that is different about being out there? He said, well, when you're used to playing with your hand on the ground, you're obviously staying pretty low and coming in. When you're standing up, it's just the opposite. You got to learn to stay low.
Now they give it to the fullback. That's Janovich on a 3rd down and 1. His first carry of the night, and he's able to move the sticks. First down.
Well, for Vance Joseph, you almost have to score in some way. I mean, you look at the score and you go, oh my gosh, it's so completely the New England Patriots. If they had scored touchdowns instead of field goals, we'd be looking at 27-21, right? I mean, professional football, you lose kicking field goals. I hate to say it that way, but that's exactly what happens. Teams that score touchdowns win. Teams that kick field goals lose.
Play fake from the 46. Osweiler, and he's going to have to throw that one away as he was under pressure from Kyle Van Noy. It'll be second down and 10.
It's amazing. You see so many defenses break down when they run those bootlegs. Inevitably, there's almost somebody wide open, and despite the fact that they've reshuffled this defense for this game, dead on assignments.
Matt Patricia's defense so much better in the last 4 than the first 4. Held them out of the end zone to this point. 3 field goals for Denver. It's a second down and 10 from the 46-yard line. Charles, he has room and picks up a first down on a 10-yard gain. Rookie Wise makes the tackle.
When you give great backs this much room in the backfield to read these plays, they just have a way of being able to find the hole. We talked about Charles and his ability. Of course, we've all seen him make great plays running to the outside, but now
it's trouble. It's Bowles. It's the left tackle, Garrett Bowles.
Already missing the right tackle, Menelik Watson.
The good news there is he's able to at least hobble off the field. And that will bring Elijah Wilkinson, a rookie from Massachusetts, into the game. Undrafted free agent. Barber's going to switch over to the left side. Wilkinson going to the right side.
But you know, there really isn't one person on this Patriots defense that you go, oh my gosh, how are we going to block him? There's no Von Miller on this Patriots defensive front seven. So we'll see how he does.
Wilkinson's first ever game action. They give it to Charles. He goes through the middle. Second down and 8. Take a look at what happened to Bowles. He looks like he's ready to get back into the game.
Yeah, right at the very end of it, you could see his knee got whacked a little bit. It's always better news if it's hit in the front of the knee than on the side of the knee, so hopefully he's okay.
Yeah, he was ready to come back in the game, and they held him back on the sideline. Charles bouncing for a yard gain to the 31, and now Bowles will come back into the game on a 3rd down and 5.
So here we go. Let's play this out a little bit, Al. You turning this into 4-down territory already?
Probably.
I think so.
Yeah,
I think
probably.
you have to look at the other sideline and see number 12 and go, well, you know they're going to keep scoring.
Yep. And even though you have 25 minutes left in the game, it's an 18-point deficit.
4 down. Mike 59. Orange. No. Omaha.
Bunch of Omahas in there on a 3rd down and 5. Swallow throws wide open, making the catch. Sanders for a 1st down, and it'll be 1st down and goal. What a night for Sanders. 6 catches, 137 yards, 23 right there.
Nice job by Bowles out here. They took the offensive line to the right, which means he is one-on-one against their best pass rusher. And then here we go. Sanders once again against Butler. Oh my goodness. What a nice move. There were about 4 jukes in that move. He looks sharp tonight.
12th play of the drive. 7 of them have been runs. They get 8 now. You got Anderson bouncing away. Osweiler looks to throw a block. And he gets to about the goal line. You got 2 flags that are thrown in as well. But Osweiler throws a block. 2 penalties.
Holding, number 72. Offense. 10-yard penalty. Still 1st down.
Well, that's Bowles.
This happens all the time. Remember we were talking about this with Russell Wilson, that when you bounce outside and Bowles right there thinks the run is going inside. So when he tries to pull away, he's not thinking about that back going out there, and so they're all locked on. I mean, every offensive lineman in run blocks, they grab inside and they grab the jersey, and the officials can't see it until they try and pull away, and then it becomes very obvious.
Great point. 1st down and goal from the 18-yard line.
Under Mike 52. Flip. Omaha. Play. Quick left. Hurry, set.
Charles bouncing his way down to the 6-yard line.
Does he sound like Peyton Manning or what?
Exactly. Of course, he studied under him for 4 seasons, stays in touch with him.
All the hand gestures from shotgun back up underneath the center and waving the hands around. Here we go. Let's tap our helmet. That's from Tom Brady, though. He stole that one from Brady. And he's out calling the defense. How could you not think of 18? Omaha, we got the whole thing.
2nd and goal from the 7-yard line. Osweiler, good protection, fires, and it's caught. Thomas, touchdown Denver. But a flag is now down in the end zone on the other side, on the near sideline. And it looks like it's going to go against Denver because the Patriots start to clap. And we'll wait for Walt Coleman.
Prior to the pass, holding, number 21. Defense. Penalties decline. Touchdown.
So that was Butler. They started to clap as if the penalty was offensive, but clearly it's not, and that's exactly what the Broncos needed to get back in this game.
No question. He's looking off to his left, trying to get the ball back to Sanders, and why not? But look at the protection up front, absolutely perfect, which allows Osweiler to come backside and find his other great wide receiver, Demaryius Thomas.
Thomas's 4th catch of the night. So down the field they go, 75 yards, 13 plays. He had that big pass that was almost deflected and then wound up a 3rd and 10. They're going to take a look now because it's a scoring play. Did he have control as he takes it to the ground? So not a challenge situation. All scoring plays, as you know, are reviewed. They're looking at it in New York. From that angle, it looked like it's good.
I don't think it ever got to the ground.
Another angle. He had his hand right underneath the ball, so this one should stand.
Maybe not quite as fortunate as Julian Edelman, but a little bit of a similar kind of play. The ball was definitely loose. I just couldn't see it ever touch the ground. And again, we got the reverse of the other situation. This one was called a touchdown, so can you reverse that?
Yeah, this one should stand. Extra point forthcoming would make it an 11-point game.
It's really a heck of a catch, because to be contacted, going to the ground, reaching behind you, and now having to maintain complete control. You could see that right hand comes off.
The ruling on the field is confirmed. A completed catch, touchdown.
So Demaryius Thomas, who did not have a touchdown all season until he got one in Philadelphia last week in a losing cause, in garbage time really, picks up one here, his 2nd of the season. McManus in for the extra point attempt.
Boy, if they could ever get a 3rd receiver going here, they really need a Edelman, Amendola type to make some plays inside.
27-16, and they can thank a lucky tip here on a 3rd down and 10 that kept the drive alive, and it pays off with a touchdown.
Well, that has to be the wake-up call for this defense now. They have to start playing Tom Brady tougher than they have so far.
And McManus sends this one to Boulder. Let's go to Michelle.
Well, in keeping with tonight's salute to service, Derek Wolfe ran out of the tunnel tonight with his brother-in-law, U.S. Navy Chief Brian Burrows. Wolfe and his wife Abigail came up with the idea and thought it would be a moment their family could treasure forever. Burrows has served 2 tours, and Wolfe told me, "I want to show my appreciation for all the sacrifices he makes. If it wasn't for the military sacrifices, we could be in a very different place."
Yeah, Michelle, you know, we saw that when it happened, mentioned what a spectacular sight that was, and we know how angry a lot of people are about what's going on with the anthem as Lewis gets taken down for loss of 1. But that scene before the game with the fireworks and the guys coming out in the military and the flag covering the field, pretty special.
In fairness, though, even those who were taking a knee wanted it to be clearly understood that it had nothing to do with the military.
And nobody took a knee tonight or sat down. 2nd down and 11 from the 24-yard line. Halfway through the 3rd quarter. Fake to Lewis. Brady fires. That's Gronkowski. Slips a tackle. And Gronkowski takes the ball all the way out to midfield, where Brandon Marshall makes the tackle. It's a gain of 25 yards.
And this is what happens when the play action is actually working. The linebackers step up, and Tom Brady throws it right behind him. So now 12 of 16 targets for Tom Brady in this game have been to either the tight end or the back coming out of the backfield, and the Broncos really have had no answer.
Ball on the midfield stripe. Devlin in at fullback. Cooks came to the inside. Brady throwing deep downfield, and that is Cooks making the catch. So they split him out. He came back in a little bit, then runs to the corner and picks up a 1st down on another big gain, that time 25 yards.
You know, you go hard play action again. You get the one-on-one on the outside. It was just a matter of time. Tom Brady is out there looking at 2 of the fastest guys to come out of the draft in the last few years. He has Brandon Cooks, Philip Dorsett, and no matter how good you are as a cornerback, with that play action fake and 4+ seconds to throw the ball, it's impossible to stop those guys.
9 catches for Cooks this season, more than 20 yards downfield. 1st and 10, and that pass is a little low. Check it out, and it's caught there by Philip Dorsett. Comes hobbling back and tells the bench, I need somebody to come in for me.
Yeah, they're a little thin at wide receiver tonight. Chris Hogan, who not only has been one of their better receivers, but also one of their better run blockers. I think that's in part why we've seen a little bit more of James Devlin in the game tonight to try and offset the loss of the blocking of Hogan.
2nd down and 5 from the 20-yard line. Lewis. Did a little Le'Veon Bell move there. A little hesitation as he got it. Sought the hole, picked it up, gain of 6, 1st down. Another guy might have come in, Chris. At receiver would have been Matthew Slater, a special teams guy, but he has a hamstring and he's out for the night.
Yeah, he's a superstar special teamer. And watch Devlin come in and just make contact here with Brandon Marshall, I believe it is, and just clear him out of the hole. And that's been the game tonight, is we're going to throw it to the tight ends, throw it to the running backs, and let our big fullback wear you down inside.
Lewis again exploiting that defensive line, taking it for a gain of 7. 2nd down and 3.
Now they get down inside the red zone here, and now you're starting to see man coverage on the outside, even against Gronkowski.
They hurry it up, go without a huddle, and Lewis will take it into the end zone. So after the Broncos go all the way down the field and get the touchdown to get back in the game, the defense can't stop New England. They go 75 yards in 7 plays.
Take a look at the defense. Nobody settled, nobody ready to play. Brady, it's amazing that still shocks defenses when he comes up and goes to that fast count. And it also hurts when you only have 10 guys on the field. It's machine-like, isn't it?
It's great, and they do that so often. Get up to the line in a hurry. Defense can't get settled. Missing a guy. Gostowski for the extra point. And it's back to an 18-point margin, 34-16. Sports Authority Field at Mile High, always sold out, but their club down by 18 with 4.5 to go in the 3rd quarter. Fielded at the goal line. Booker's going to come back with it and bring it back to the 24-yard line. Last 4 AFC champions, you go back to 2013. There's Peyton leading them over the Patriots and onto the Super Bowl, where they lost to Seattle. Pats beat the Colts, went on to win the Super Bowl. Broncos beat the Patriots, and they went on to win the Super Bowl as Manning's career ended. And then the Pats beat the Steelers 36-17. And you know, you look at these teams, and there is John Elway looking on right now with his club in arrears by 18 points. I mean, Chris, when you think about it, Charles, stop for no gain. This is royalty. I mean, of the last 32 Super Bowls, one of these teams has played in 16 of them.
There's a reason for that.
Maybe 17 out of 33, the way things are looking right now.
Yeah, there's a reason for that. I mean, we just have not witnessed, maybe we have a few times with the old Green Bay Packers team, some of the old Pittsburgh Steelers teams, but this run of coach and quarterback for New England they just look like they're a little more advanced over the teams that they're playing. I mean, it has been that way for a while.
It's been a dream. To the middle, Charles. 3rd and 1. Now, if you're the Denver Broncos, I mean, what they did is they went out and they drafted Paxton Lynch, traded up to get him. You had Trevor Siemian, who's won the job at quarterback each of the last 2 years. Lynch has been hurt all year. Don't know if he'll play before the end of the season. Now you bring Osweiler back. And then what do you do? I mean, you know, the way things are going, you may get a fairly high draft choice the way it's beginning to look. Do you go out into the market again? What do you do?
Well, I think this was a team that was supposed to be built around their defense and around their running game. And their quarterback was going to be a complementary part of that package. And the stunner is that the defense has been getting beat up on. And I mean, let's face it, let's say one very true statement here. They got beat by Philadelphia badly, and they're getting beat by the New England Patriots, who may well end up meeting in the Super Bowl. So it may be the two best teams in football before we're all said and done. But even with that, you never saw this defense get pushed around like this or get out maneuvered the way they have.
Yeah, 80-85 in the last game, plus almost 3/4 of this one. That was Latimer who made the last catch. The ball is to the 44. And that is incomplete. That's Hireman, the tight end. Harris covering. And also the other thing, Chris, is remember last year, not a good year for the Broncos. Started out fine, faded, didn't make the playoffs, and all this stuff was going on about, the defense is really upset with the offense. You had plenty of stories. Who knows what was rumor and what was fact? It might be the offense. It's not very happy with the defense.
Yeah, no TJ Ward, who was a little bit of the emotional heart and soul of this team. No Wade Phillips here, who's now doing wonders with the Rams in Los Angeles. So there are some differences.
Second down and 10 from the 44. And throwing into traffic and incomplete. Thomas that time. Covered on the play by Gilmore. It'll be third down and 10.
The exact same catch that Emmanuel Sanders made earlier in this game. That time Thomas unable to come up with it. If the Patriots are going to win another Super Bowl, in my opinion now, it's going to be because of the strength of their back end. I don't think there are superstar players across the front seven anymore the way there have been on some other teams. But Gilmore and Butler and Jones and McCourty, those guys need to carry this defense moving forward.
A great point to build back to front the way it is right now. And that's Jones coming up to tackle Hireman, well short of the first down. So it's 4th and 5.
Yeah, but you've got some old heads in there. Doesn't it always seem like there's at least one or two guys that Bill kind of takes off the scrap heap and all of a sudden they have a major role going forward? And I'm not so sure that guy's not going to be David Harris, the linebacker who was with the Jets for so many years. Now starting to see his snap count go up and up.
Patriots have done it time and again. Dixon's kick, fair catch called for, 6-yard line by Amendola. A minute and a half remaining in the third. New England on top 34-16. Well, this is a much happier sight than we saw about 60 seconds ago. That's the umpire, Jeff Rice, and we'll show you what happened to him on the punt. But he was down and looked like he was out cold. They brought the card out. Here's what happened to him.
There goes Trevor Riley getting thrown into him, and now watch him land on his head. And as we've talked about with players before, that head sort of snaps down, and Trevor Riley, he didn't know what to do, and he was obviously very concerned and started waving for somebody to come out and help. Good to see him on his feet.
Yeah, because it looked really scary for most of that commercial break, but that's great. At least he's able to laugh about it.
Sure, that's going to mean a lot to his family somewhere watching this ball game.
No question. So they will go to 6 officials. A couple will have dual responsibilities now. But it looks for all the world like he'll be fine.
Well, you could see that they have responsibilities after the kick, and so he had turned and looked down the field because he's watching to see holding, whatever the case may be, and just never saw it coming at him.
Still chewing gum.
Those guys do a great job. Sometimes you want to get a feel for how hard that job is. Go into the NFL offices and check it out. Now they got to wait.
Can't wait for the card to go off the field. You really want to get a feel. Just watch a game if you have the opportunity from the sideline. You see how fast it goes. And frankly, it's amazing to me that it doesn't happen more often.
Well, here's your stand. If you're a Denver Broncos fan, you have to make some hay out of the Patriots being backed up.
Start from the 6-yard line, looking for room Burkhead will take the ball and carry some guys with him. The Patriots have scored on their last 6 possessions.
Rex Burkhead did it a week ago or 2 weeks ago before the bye, and he's doing it again. He has been a major factor in both the passing game and the running game tonight. You see the quickness, you see the moves. A lot of people wondered what the heck was Belichick doing when he signed Burkhead. They had enough running backs. He also knew he had a good special teams player as well. Some night tonight by Rex Burkhead.
2nd and 4. Brady, comfortable in that pocket, goes to the fullback. That's Devlin, and he will pick up a first down. The only time that the Broncos have stopped the Patriots tonight, on the very first drive, it was a 3 and out. Then came the punt. Then came the fumble by McKenzie. New England cashed in, and since then, touchdown, touchdown, field goal, touchdown, touchdown.
Yeah, but it was short field touchdown, kickoff return touchdown. So the way that Osweiler started the game tonight, if they field the punt, you never know how it plays out from there.
Under a half minute to go in the quarter. Brady throws, and that's going to be Amendola making the catch up at the 34-yard line. He was blanketed by Simmons, and that should take us to the end of the third quarter. But you never know with the Patriots when they might want to quick snap it. Nope, don't let the clock run out.
This offensive line is doing some job for Tom Brady tonight. No pressure really to speak of.
Into 3, 34-16 New England. Sunday Night Football back after these messages. Well, the NFL family, a long history of honoring and supporting the military, funding programs and providing resources for active duty and veteran military members and their families. Learn more at NFL.com/salute. That's the U.S. Marine Corps Silent Drill Platoon out here in Denver tonight.
We met a few of those guys before the game, and on your birthday, happy birthday, pal. They gave you a little medallion to represent the Marine Corps. It was great.
Now, November 12th is true, but the rest of it is fake news. I want you to know. Think about Lorne Michaels. But thanks anyway, pal. I appreciate that car you left in my garage, too.
Yeah, I'm a big spender that way. You want a horse?
Oh, man. Please take him, huh? Second down and 9 from the 35-yard line. And Brady hit as he throws, and nobody home there. Third down is Tom, one of the rare times tonight, hits the deck, knocked down by Shelby Harris.
Yeah, but not hitting the deck because of the one question mark coming into this game, playing Adrian Waddle for Marcus Cannon at the right tackle position. Adrian Waddle, they are lucky to have a guy like that as a true swing tackle, playing the right and left side. He's done a nice job all night against the toughest of competition.
3rd and 9. Gronkowski. And he converts on that 3rd and 9. Well, you can see the frustration all over that team right now. Will Parks exasperated. First down.
And now you've got to do something, right? So you start bringing some pressure, but you bring pressure, and that means one-on-one coverage. You can't have it both ways. So you can rush 4, and you can help on Gronkowski, or you can try and blitz Tom Brady, and you can play one-on-one against a really good young player there in Will Parks, but you just can't win that battle.
Spreading it around. Brady, deep drop. Line doing great work, and the pass is too high. Flag is down. It's Dorsett with Talib covering him.
Prior to the pass, illegal contact, number 25, defense. 5-yard penalty, automatic first down.
That's on Chris Harris Jr.
There you go, right here. One thing you'll notice about Patriots receivers is sometimes they start opposite of where they want to go. And so occasionally you'll see them, if they want to go outside, they'll try and beat the defender across his face, and Chris Harris didn't like it at all. But it really is confusing. Defensive backs are used to, if you go inside, typically you go inside. But this Patriots receiving group, it's amazing how many times they get open going against leverage.
Three-man rush. Pass on the outside. Amendola looks for an extra yard or two. Age 40. That's how old, of course, Tom Brady is. Warren Moon in 97 with the Seahawks. 28-18. And Brett Favre ending his career with the Vikings, passing for 39-62. Tom Brady at this pace would pass for 5,082 yards.
And that's a big reason why they were willing to deal Jimmy Garoppolo. You know, you had to see, was Tom Brady still going to be this guy, or was he going to be the one that fell off the cliff, which sometimes happen at this age, but still on top of the cliff.
Second and 2, he's on top of the mountain. The contact there and looking for that flag is Cooks, but doesn't get it. Harris covering on the play.
Well, this Brandon Cooks certainly has added an element, and he's going against Chris Harris Jr., who is, in my opinion, the best slot cover corner there is. And you'll see, grab the hand and not really give him a chance and get away with it. Great defensive backs are like great magicians. They don't let you always see exactly what's going on.
Third and a deuce. Take to Cooks. Spin it out to White. And he gets tackled there by Bradley Roby to make it fourth down.
You know, in talking to some of these Patriots, I asked them, was there one of these cornerbacks that you considered a little bit weaker than the others? And they said no, which is an amazing testament to a guy like Bradley Roby, because Aqib Talib and Chris Harris, the best.
Allen into punt. Broncos may have had too many guys on the field. It's going to be taken by Marshall at the 5-yard line as he went back to get it. Were there too many men on the field?
There was a late runoff for sure. You could see it. Guys coming on, guys coming off. And even without Tom Brady on the field, heck, their punter gets guys.
And another special teams deal here. It was 4th and 5.
12 men on the field on the defense. It's a 5-yard penalty, and the penalty results in a first down.
Oh, man, it's on top of everything. I think if nothing else, he might. There's Brock Olivo, the special teams coach, who has to be beside himself. I think Vance Joseph may have been at least wanting for a measurement here, because it's 4th and 5. And it looked, at least with the naked eye, it was very, very close. And I'm surprised they didn't measure. Too late.
Well, it was right on one of the hash marks, and so he knew exactly where it was. And even Brady recognized they had the wrong football on the field. They don't want one of those bright, shiny ones. They want one of those ones that he musses up.
Take a look where the ball.
So the ball
right. It's right on the 41. So it would go right to the 36, which it did, and that's where the stick was. So it is a first down, and the drive continues. And Brady throws, and that'll be caught, taken to the 30-yard line by Martellus Bennett. Made a big splash early on, and quiet since, but makes the grab here. Brady has now gone to 9 different receivers, 3 catches for Bennett. Well, Von Miller has been fairly quiet for him tonight. In fact, very quiet.
Well, they knew coming into this game that if there was going to be help on Von Miller, it was going to have to be Shane Ray or Shaq Barrett to make the plays. And they haven't been able to get there on either side.
Haven't called Ray's name once tonight. Cooks gets taken down. Harris makes the tackle.
You know, we have seen Tom Brady this year hold the ball a little bit longer. We talked to him last night about some of his mechanics. I'm so interested in how he throws the football. He really doesn't step into the ball at all. He just kind of turns that front foot.
Gets the hips into it. Looks like a golf swing as
he does.
Cooks makes the tackle.
Yeah, you'll see him on some of his deliveries as he comes out here. He'll just sort of open up. That was a little bit harder, but you never really see him take that step forward. It is more of the toe just opens up, and then you'll see his left hip really whip hard out of there, and that's the throwing motion. But that perfected mechanics helps keep his arm strong and not have a lot of issues.
Cooks had a 9-yard reception, now on a 2nd down and 1. Burkhead continues to move the chains. So because of that penalty, this drive, which started back at the 6-yard line, has now advanced 82 yards on the drive in 13 plays, 10 of them passes.
You know, it's really hard to beat the Patriots if you have a really good night, right? You have a really awful night on special teams, you have no chance. Absolutely no chance. You have to play your best football, and the Broncos came nowhere close to that tonight.
How about less than 0? First down, Brady throws the low throw, and that's caught by Amendola, but he pays the price. Like Simmons came in there. It'll be 2nd down.
I have a lot of respect for Todd Davis, who's out there, and I know he can barely walk right now, but watch him right here working against Amendola, and you've got a bad ankle and it's impossible. But this young man, Justin Simmons, have laid 2 of the biggest hits we've seen all night tonight. He has been relentless in his effort despite the lopsided score.
2nd down, 4. Fake to Burkhead. Brady lost one, and that's out of the end zone. An incomplete intended for Brandon Cooks, covered there by Harris. 3rd down.
You know, this offensive line, coached by Dante Scarnecchia, who may be the best, you'll see on play action, watch the offensive line. They step forward. They're going to go here. They're not going to back up. They're not going to give you a clue that it's a pass play. It looks like a run as they come off the ball. And so that's what makes so many of those alleys open up behind the linebackers, because the way they've been throwing the ball, you have no choice but to step up.
There he is, Dante Scarnecchia, retired for a couple of years.
Yeah, and it showed.
3rd and 4. The essence of the game is deception sometimes, and they're great at it. Brady slides left, throws, touchdown. James White into the end zone. Man, oh man, they go 94 yards, get the break on the penalty. Too many men on the field, and throw 13 passes in 16 plays.
Al, how'd you like to cover this? Put yourself in Parks' shoes right here. Watch how many moves James White lays on him here. You've got to be able to cover inside and outside, and they are just so patient at the breaking point because they know they're going to hold up in protection, and Brady's just sitting there staring at them. And there's just not much you can do.
Yeah, and you're looking at maybe the greatest quarterback of all time, some of the guy making 28 moves. Gostkowski for the extra point. 9:04 left in the 4th. It is 41-16 in favor of the reigning champions. Our illustrious spotter tells me that Devontae Hooker is the man back to receive this kick, and he will have a run back from the 6-yard line to the 24. So a couple of ticks under 9 minutes to go. Pats on their way to win number 5 in a row. Latimer making this catch. So Osweiler's done nothing to work his way back out of the lineup. I mean, the way he's played tonight, it's been fine. It's not him. It's special teams. Defense can't stop him. They play Cincinnati next week, and expect to see him, I'm sure, back at quarterback. 2nd and 3. And that's incomplete. Intended for Latimer there. Covered on the play by Jonathan Jones.
Buck Osweiler's had a nice night tonight from the very beginning. Of course, he was behind from the start of this game, but he was giving us the full Peyton Manning in this game, coming all the way backside and coming up with that touchdown to Demaryius Thomas. But it has really been, he's been very poised, and they were outspoken about it. The players, the coaches said that when he took over the quarterback role, there was a new dynamic, there was a new leadership, and of course all that Peyton had done, it was Osweiler who saw a lot of that and incorporated a lot of what you've seen out there tonight.
3rd and 3, and Thomas makes the catch. Gets wrestled down after he picks up the first down. Gilmore making the tackle.
Yeah, what did he tell John Elway? He said, "You take me back and I'll serve the Gatorade around here. I'll play for free, and my agent's going to wear me out on this one." But he said he was a little like Dorothy in The Wizard of Oz. There's no place like home. He was definitely happy to be back in Denver.
He and Mrs. Osweiler for sure. To the outside he goes here. And Latimer makes the catch. Well, what an odyssey though for Osweiler. He looked like the guy when Manning retires. Got offered a pretty good contract, but Houston was going to pay him $72 million over 4. Played all year for Houston last year. Actually led him to a win in the wild card round against the leaguer Oakland Raiders at that point. And then on to Cleveland, and then crazily enough, Cleveland's paying. They're paying most of his salary this year.
Yeah, well, essentially, the Texans gave him up for a second-round draft pick, gave away a second-round draft pick just so they could get rid of the $10 million salary or whatever that was. And so essentially now the Cleveland Browns are all paying all but about $1 million of that contract for him to come play quarterback for the Denver Broncos.
Unbelievable. 2nd and 5. And it's Malcolm Butler who puts the pressure on one of the rare defensive back blitzes shown by New England tonight. 3rd and 5.
The other thing I thought was really interesting, there's Trevor Siemian, whose spot he took. And Trevor Siemian, they consider to be a very bright quarterback, doesn't make a lot of mistakes, but he was making mental mistakes out there, so that was a big part of why they felt like they had to pull the trigger. But it was Osweiler who talked about Hugh Jackson in Cleveland, so I have nothing bad to say about him. My fundamentals needed work, and Hugh Jackson did great work, and I'll tell you, he looks better. He looks sharp out here tonight.
3rd and 5. That's on cue. Patrick Chung. It's Bowles who's going to take him down. That is the ultimate kibosh.
Nobody can do it like I can.
You've eclipsed Coach Madden with that one. That's Hall of Fame. That's a Hall of Fame.
Brock.
That's a Hall of Fame
bad,
kibosh. Back into the stadium now. We're in New England from the 32-yard line. Gives the ball to Rex Burkhead to the 29. He goes for a gain of 3 yards.
Yeah, this is a New England team that has a lot of things that they can do well. Tonight it's been the fullback and James Devlin coming in and playing some power football behind this offensive line. But this is also one of the best teams in football when it comes to the 4-minute offense, where they're trying to run out the clock at end of games and all that sort of stuff. Just so many different ways they can beat you.
2nd and 7. Brady taking the play clock almost all the way down and looking for another touchdown, and pass is incomplete, intended for Cooks. Trapped there by Aqib Talib. 3rd and 7.
Now that time they had a little trap defense going against Rex Burkhead, who came back inside. Tom Brady saw it and went deep. He's going to make the move back inside, and inside there was Davis waiting on it. So Brady saw that and then took a shot deep, knew there wasn't going to be any help with Talib, but Talib dead on the money. It was interesting talking to Aqib Talib about Tom Brady, wasn't it? He said he beats you Monday through Saturday. By the time he gets to Sunday, he's seen the game played out 20 times.
And then he beat you on Sunday, too.
Yeah.
James White to the 25-yard line. The Patriots, because they have the game tonight, and then their next game is in Mexico City next Sunday night, or Sunday afternoon, actually, against the, as you look at Robert Kraft and Jonathan Kraft off Robert's left shoulder. They're going to stay out in Colorado and train here next week, and then go down to Mexico City, which is over 7,000 feet. So they'll be in altitude all week long. 4th and 3, and Brady will throw, and that pass is intended for Gronkowski and incomplete, turning the ball over with 5:17. 41-16 is the score on Sunday Night Football. Pass is incomplete here. He's 2nd down and 10, intended for Benny Fowler.
One of many headlines for Matt Patricia tonight is going to be Stephon Gilmore. I think sitting in a lot of meetings while he was hurt has made a difference. He has been much sharper. He's taken away a tremendous receiver tonight in Demaryius Thomas. One more weapon for the Patriots.
Even the big bucks to come over from Buffalo. Catch is made up at the 30-yard line by Booker, but he had to reach up for it. And Patrick Chung of the Oregon Ducks makes the tackle.
You know, that's what made that deal so interesting, I think, for a lot of people, is that Belichick sort of makes a living out of not paying people, right? He just gets a lot of good players and figures it out. And then he turned around and paid Stephon Gilmore, a guy that was in his division in Buffalo, that kind of money. It's like, there's no way he could have lived up to the expectations I had at that point. I was like, wow. And then he got off to the slow start, so.
You know, there's nothing they don't do right in Foxborough.
Yep, it's been a battle all night between those two, and at the end of it, Malcolm Butler stood up and gave Sanders a big hug.
Dixon, fair caught here at the 21-yard line by Amendola. Love is in bloom on Sunday Night Football. So I think we're safe in chalking this one up. This will be the 86th win on the road for that man. That'll break a tie with Peyton Manning for the most all time.
Unless I said it.
unless you put we put the big kibosh on it right here. This would be the all-time kibosh.
Well, how about that guy? He just got finished with Halloween and went as an avocado.
Yep.
His wife went as toast.
It's toast.
Yeah, and Santa Claus is right around the corner. Now, does avocado count as a vegetable? Are you in the avocado business? Does that count?
No, I am not in the avocado business. Nor broccoli, nor spinach, nor anything else. That shade. Deion Lewis. You know us. We're steaks and chops. And speaking of Brian Hoyer coming into the game, here he is. He'd been the 49ers starting quarterback at the beginning of this season. Then when Garoppolo went to San Francisco, it wasn't a trade, but they got rid of Hoyer. And who else would pick him up at New England?
Yeah, good buddies. You gotta keep Tom Brady happy. So send one guy out in a trade and bring back another guy that he really liked, and he really likes Josh McDaniels too. Those two, we talk about Belichick all the time, but Josh McDaniels, the job he's done here.
Meanwhile, here's Cooks, and this will look good on the stat sheet for Hoyer. Cooks turns into a real good gain as Wolf slings him down out of bounds.
Just gives them that dynamic playmaker on the outside, and they're just so smart as a football team. Watch Danny Amendola on the tail end of this play. Watch this block. He does not, he's in position to clip, but what does he do? He doesn't throw his body at him. He just gets in front of him, just ease in position, then slow down. That's exactly what he does on pick plays and everything else. Look at Brady. He recognized right away how smart a play that was.
27-yard gain. And taking it just across the 50-yard line is Lewis. You go back in 2000, Belichick started his career with a record of 0-4 in New England, and then came in here. Drew Bledsoe, who's here tonight. Drew came in to watch the game from his home, and Mike Shanahan was there, and there's Belichick walking off the field as Belichick pulled off the first of a zillion victories. And there was Brady and Bledsoe before the game with Robert Kraft. Of course, it was when Bledsoe got hurt against the Jets in '01, and then Brady came in, and well, you know the rest of the story, as Paul Harvey would say.
I think Mike Shanahan told Belichick there, hey, you don't know it yet, but you're going to go on to win 5 world championships.
Right. And when you count postseason games, Don Shula, #1, George Halas, who coached the Bears for 40 years in 4 10-year increments, 324, and then Landry and Belichick will be dead even at 270.
Yeah, how'd it go for you when you asked Bill about some of his own accolades?
Yeah. So we bring it up last night. Hey, you know, what about Ty and Landry? And he said, oh, yeah, it's flattering. He said, but it doesn't mean anything because we have a game tomorrow night and we have to win the game tomorrow night.
We're on to Denver.
On to Denver, on to Mexico.
The singular focus goes from top to bottom in this organization.
First down there, the catch by Devlin. Yeah, you know, it's simple. They don't look back. They don't look to the past, even though, you know, Belichick loves nostalgia and all the rest of it that goes with the NFL history. But it's always about this team's next game. It's the next game. It's never the last game.
Yeah, and almost to a man, the one comment we get about Tom Brady is he's the hardest working guy in the building. And so when your quarterback and your highest paid guy is that guy, it just permeates the entire football team.
I think of guys like Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, they said the same thing about those guys. When your biggest star is the hardest working guy, everybody falls into place. 2 minutes to go. 2 minutes until the Patriots go to 7-2. Just run the clock out here. Brian Hoyer, who started his career as a Patriot back in '09. Ball is handed off this time to Brandon Bolden, his first carry of the night. So Hoyer's been to New England, Pittsburgh, Arizona, Cleveland, Houston, Chicago, San Francisco, back to New England. More traveling than Johnny Cash.
Yeah, he's been everywhere, man. But he picked up a lot of wins with that transfer from San Francisco here.
Hey, congrats to Kyle Shanahan. Had a chance to break bread with Mike last night here in Denver. Kyle got a victory, his first as the 49er head coach. 3rd and 6. Bolden.
Hear him screaming, get down, Brandon, get down, Brandon. They do not want to make a mistake. Nobody wants to go into the film room because I guarantee you they grind on the play inside the 2-minute warning as much as they do any other. So it's a good thing Brandon got down.
Right. Didn't go out of bounds, didn't stop the clock.
You know, but the real news here, obviously the special teams had a great night, but now this is the 5th straight game this defense has allowed 17 points or less. And when you look at what was happening for the first month of the season, and they were allowing 32 points per game, you knew that it was going to have to make a major change, and they did. They fixed it.
Throw a pass here out to Cooks, but he gets taken down, and that's a 4th down play. So Denver will have it for the last 26 seconds. You know, you can have that MVP conversation starting about now. Clearly Brady is in it. What else is new? That's every year. We're going to see a guy next week that's definitely in it, Carson Wentz. I'm thinking of some, you know, Alex Smith, even though they've lost 3 in a row, tremendous. What about Jared Goff? I mean, the Rams are 7-2. Pretty interesting.
A lot of football left to be played, but it would be tough to get around what Wentz has done and what Brady has done at this point in the season. It's almost unfathomable what Brady is doing at age 40.
It's great.
It just
great.
is.
It is. And this is Booker, and it's going to take us, I think, to the finish line. So Brady now, 9 games into the season, he's thrown 19 touchdown passes, 2 interceptions, leads the league in yardage, throws for 266 tonight in a rout, and it's on to Mexico.
First time they ever said that.
Yep.